Judah coming to y'all with another video. Um, I'm gonna have to get me another computer because let's see, I bought this computer in 2019, 2020, during COVID. And this motherfucker is slow as hell now. This is a 2020 iMac. And all I use it for is YouTube. Um, I deleted videos, all that, but for some reason it's tweaking right now. And I really believe that Apple be giving out updates to make shit slower. I really believe that shit, yo. Because there's no way in hell this computer should be going this slow. But check this out, right? I guess you could say it's a quick video for y'all since I got a little bit of time. Um, that's until my girl walk in. You know, for the last what 2 or 3 years, I've been explaining to y'all that, God repeats himself a lot in the Old Testament. And I just came across this article. I came across this article because this is something I've been telling y'all for years that the only reason why I believe in the Old Testament only is because God talks in coding and he has a similar pattern throughout the scriptures. And so this pattern is so unique that you can't help but say, this is God. This is God. Because man himself is not smart enough to write something like that. And this is what kills me with a lot of people. They say man wrote the book, but man had the spirit of the Lord upon him when the book was written. You know what I'm saying? Like when you read in the Old Testament, there's no mistakes. And even in some books where they add on to the Old Testament, it's easy to spot if you just follow along the story. His story in the Old Testament is so um how can I put it? It's so straightforward that like, anything they tweak, you can spot it if you really paying attention to it. I told y'all when it comes to reading the so-called Bible, you gotta have extreme discipline. If you are a stiff neck, my people, Judah, if you are a stiff neck, you won't be able to see what God is telling you. And this ties into all the shit that I've been telling y'all for years about Iran and the United States and Israel and stuff like that. All this shit that y'all see right now with Iran and America and shit is history repeating itself. That's all it is. That's all it is, yo. This is God showing black people of his existence. He's literally repeating the same fucking story that he had for our ancestors when they was coming out of Egypt. That's why all around in America, everything is so symbolic from Egypt to Greek history is because he's telling the same story. I told y'all before, United States is nothing more than another Assyria. Another Babylon, another Sodom and Gomorrah, another Egypt story. He's telling the same story over and over again. This is what y'all not understanding. And then the reason why I say the New Testament is a trick book is because after they written the Old Testament, they added in the New Testament. And in the New Testament, not only is the New Testament contradictory to itself, it contradicts itself a lot. It contradicts the Old Testament as well, a lot. So when you read in the New Testament, it's going against everything that the God of Israel in the Old Testament spoke of. So it's making sense to y'all. And so while God is repeating history for black people and he's putting you in a time loop, you know, just like how God was testing our ancestors in the wilderness when he brought them out of Egypt, he's doing the same thing here. He's repeating time. He's spending time because remember I told y'all time itself does not exist. I made a whole video about that. How time doesn't exist. Back in the day, again, if you read the Old Testament, back in the day, there wasn't a time. There wasn't a time. But when you get into the New Testament, they speak about time. You see a lot of things about clocks. They were able to tell the time of the day. In the Hebrew book, which is the Old Testament, our ancestors had no concept of time. For an example, right? When they knew that Sabbath was coming, the reason they knew Sabbath was coming was two reasons. One, the sunset. That's number one. Number two, the shadows reflecting off the gates of Jerusalem. So when the shadows hit a certain, when the sun hits a certain point and you can see your shadow, that's when we knew, okay, Sabbath is about to happen. So all the shops will close up. Another example, when it's afternoon, the sun is at its brightest. This is how the Hebrews operated. There was no concept of time. I told y'all this before. When you, I'm not even gonna get into that because I already made a video about that. But look, again, he's telling these stories for a reason, and he wants you to come back to him and worship him only, and follow the laws that he gave our ancestors, especially and mainly uh, the ones Moses gave. You know what y'all refer to as the Ten Commandments. You know, thou shalt not steal. The first one being, thou shalt have no other God before me or beside me. That means that the God of Israel or God Almighty, the Creator, wants you to worship Him alone, nobody else. You know, making drawings of Him. He told you, don't make any graven images and bow down to them. The same stuff I've been regurgitating for a while, repeating for a while. You know what I'm saying? But to get back to this Iran and United States stuff, it's the fight for your land, black people, the people of Judah. It's the fight for your land. Remember, I told y'all this, black people, especially the black man. He need to hear this. I'm gonna keep repeating it. We are, you are the only man on this earth that does not have the following. He does not have his own air. He does not have his own land. He does not have his own sea. He does not have his own military. He does not have his own currency. Those are just five of the main things the so called black man on earth does not have. You go to any other man on the face of the earth, he has those five things. The African man has his own military, his own land, his own air, his own sea, his own currency. The Mexican man, the Asian man, the European man, the Hebrew man, the Hebrew man. The Negro man, he does not have these things. You are a true definition of a slave. Just like the scriptures say, you are a true definition of a servant. You serve foreigners, you serve other nations, my nigga. You don't sit at the table of the United Nations because you don't have a nation. You don't have nobody representing you. Let me make this clear to black people again. When we look at the United Nations, you are supposed to be at the forefront. God Almighty made it clear in the scriptures that his people were to lead the nations. And so when you look at that land that they over there fighting for with all that fucking resources, all those resources is supposed to be in your hand. And you supposed to spread that resource across the nation. Abraham's seed is supposed to bless the nations. That's all I gotta say, y'all. I'm out.